I wanted to first dispel your defensiveness about just bringing artists to perform before audiences, because one of the things that you do that is significant for us is collaborate. And I think that you do a lot of collaboration all around campus, which means that, and by you I mean do performances, not necessarily you personally, but that certainly facilitates engagement, because if the center is doing something, so I think you should take more credit for that.
And I'll just to footnote that, that is a kind of engagement that's worth talking about as well. The way that the arts gets some of us engaged with colleagues that we wouldn't be engaged with otherwise. We actually have something to engage over, collaborate around.
Yeah.
So anyway, just.
And in fact, so we collaborated on this exhibition that we currently have at the center, which is called Sparkle and Twang, an American Musical Odyssey. The artist is Marty Stewart. He's a photographer, but he's also he's also a really famous traditional country music performer. And Duke Performances had contracted with him to come and do a show, and Aaron called, and Tom and Aaron talked about the fact that Marty made this work, this photographic work, and so we brought the show. Awesome. But also, when we went to see Marty's performance, a couple of the ushers were very excited about the fact that there were so many people there that had never been there before, that they'd never seen before. So bringing that new audience in to experience Duke Performances, and then by extension, having our postcards around or stuffed into the programs and announcing stuff about the exhibition being at the center also brings that audience to the center. I also kind of wanted to jump on art as extracurricular activity, because I think we can't bang that drum quite enough. I think that's a really significant deficit in American education broadly, from beginning to end, which is that there's this idea that art is something precious and special and extra, and I strongly disagree. I think art is essential, and I think art is math, and I think art is science, and there's all kinds of stuff about that, but I think that should be a part of our conversation. I also think that when we talk about engagement, a lot of times it's a project that is for a limited time frame, and everyone has this experience, and then it's over, and oh, how satisfying. And that's not really how we experience engagement at CDS, because that's not how we see documentary work. We're really interested in relationship building and then deepening and sustaining. So, engagement is great, but it needs to lead somewhere. It's not necessarily a thing. It's not necessarily the thing. Just like in the particular case that I want to talk about, art is not necessarily the thing. So several years ago, the center supported a project in which we participated with a branch of Duke's Office of Community Affairs and an entity in Southwest Central Durham, a community organization, to do this big public art project. And the desire to do this project came out of a relationship that our community programs program had with this community organization. And they'd done work together in the past, and then they thought, well, let's maybe do this bigger thing, this community art project. And what would that look like? And maybe we could have some murals in the neighborhoods. And we brought in an artist who saw the experience of doing this as something quite different. He wasn't interested in making the art so much as he was interested in establishing relationships and using art making to establish relationships and deepen relationships. And so he made this investment in the community by showing up in advance of doing this project. And then, while doing this project, we had these events, much as you're talking about with your theater piece, where people came together to make art. But there was also food, and there was sometimes mariachi. There was always music of some kind. There was sometimes dancing. There were all kinds of activities that people could do, and they were making these murals, but they were also meeting their neighbors, and in some cases, big administrators from Duke, and Duke professors, and Duke students, and
he was also a visiting professor at the same time.
Yeah, and he was a visiting professor at the same time. And what an amazing experience for Duke students to have the opportunity to actually go into Durham neighborhoods and do things with Durham residents who are, in fact, not always so scary at all. Yeah. I think I want to just have the conversation now. I don't. All right.